You know, coming out of this situation, you know, I think this is an obvious success story. One of the things that, you know, concerns me a little bit with, you know, I think everything we've been hearing is about really positive about how everything went really well. You know, but we had a lot of things going for us. You know, we had some other people talking about how lucky we were. You know, we had a team that had a good plan, that did everything that they should be as far as getting a plan in place. We were on a flat piece of dirt. We had two crews that you couldn't have much more of a cooperative environment in between that existed. We're all standing on a trail. All of the overhead for both the crews is basically right there. And you had 5 EMTs on scene within a matter of minutes. You know, you had paramedics that were there within a couple minutes.
My name is Rick Smith, a line medic on the incident on Division Zulu.
We offloaded hot, unloaded gear, and pretty much just split gear between the three of us. I had my ALS bag and all the code drugs. Josh had the oxygen trauma kit, and he had the monitor. So then we started just coming our way up the trail. Roughly 6 minutes or so, probably to get from the hell spot to here. And as we came up, the trail was lined with, you know, 40 hot shots, ready to move this guy. On-scene paramedics had shocked.
But the reality of the situation is if that had been a half hour, an hour later, all of those response times would have been doubled and tripled.
I think that medical unit leaders probably need to have a meeting so that they understand, because we're all different.
The med plans were in our minds, and they were discussed previously the day before as well.
But having all the right resources in the right places made the difference this time. And it may cost a little extra money to make sure that those resources are always there, but it's certainly, when the day that it's important, it doesn't matter how much it costs at that point. And I think that a lot of people should be really proud of themselves, and hopefully in the future they can do things like this so that people get to have another Father's Day.
I just make it mandatory for all hotshot crews to have AEDs. That's what I would do different, because that's what we didn't have. I mean, they were there, but I would make that mandatory and expect the unexpected. If I was talking to the crew or crews 5 years from now, I would tell them to expect the unexpected.
Later, I ran into one of the guys that was going to be a line medic. Now I'm asking him what kind of equipment they have, and like kind of getting an idea of what level they're functioning at. So if we interacted with them later, we'd know what they might have or not have. I asked him if they have an AED out there, and he's like, no, unfortunately, you know, usually we don't have one. And I was like, that seems kind of like a big issue there. I said, well, let me talk to safety real quick. And I went and asked him, I said, hey, could he just have one of your AEDs to use for this operation, because it sounds like they don't have one. And she's like, yeah, I think that should be okay. And so he went out there, and then he came out a few minutes later, and he's like, hey, thanks, man. And he showed me he had an AED. When we got up to this patient on the day of this incident, it was the AED that I had helped him get from the first day.
You know, hey, maybe, you know, I can have a few minutes to get with the, you know, the folks, the EMTs out there and other paramedics, and we can compare, because like you were saying, there's no standardization on crews. You know, if we could compare what we have out there and what do I need to take the line, and then he wanted to know, you know, it'd be a good time for him to ask if he has permission to use their equipment if the situation arises.
I talked to the overhead a day or two ago, you know, and asked, you know, well, what went wrong on this thing? You know, and talking to these guys, and you know, I'm looking at them, and I mean, there was really nothing that they could kind of come up with. And it was pretty flawless, and that's just within the incident itself, within the incident. But what can we do better as far as, I guess, you know, an agency? And that's, you know, getting these other agencies on, you know, kind of the same model as what the NPS has for their EMS programs, and supporting them. Along with that is, I think, you know, AEDs, allowing these crews, funding them to have whatever they need medically, whether it be, you know, these packs that they can carry easily from point A to point B, you know, as we move along, and set these trigger points up with at least some basic life support. and supporting these crews for whatever they may need medically.
Definitely, you know, hotshot crews should have AEDs. And a big thing is motivation for continuing medical education. For people to be motivated, you know, some way by their agency to get the medical training, not just be like, okay, I gotta spend all this time on my free time and money to go through some training, and then I show up to work and I basically just get a 5-pound bag to carry around and some responsibilities that if something bad does happen, it's on you. You know, there's really not a lot of motivation for people. And also maybe like starting to like think about having a higher level of care on crews, like having a paramedic on a crew and making it so that they don't want to leave in a year or two as soon as they get their training, because hey, they're not getting paid anymore and they just spent a bunch of time and money getting those qualifications, you know, so some motivation to have those roles.